Hello everyone, thanks for stopping by this morning. Wanted to talk a little bit about infants and sign language and how the benefits of it. My name's Alan Bosley, and one of the things I wanted to talk to you a little bit about was kind of to raise awareness that this is such a important thing that infants are able to learn sign language as a way of communicating at an extremely early age. Starting from about 6 months forward, we can teach them simple signs, just more. These are some of this is the alphabet of the ASL, American Sign Language. Now, we don't usually teach the alphabet until they are toddlers to where they're starting to learn the alphabet as they would already in school or at that time. Then we start teaching them the alphabet. They learn very simple signs that helps them to communicate. If we think about a child, what their options are to communicate. They can laugh, and we know what that means. They can coo, and they're kind of satisfied. Or they basically cry, which means they're unhappy, don't like the situation, or they're wanting something. If we just imagine what it would be like for us if we couldn't communicate at all. We wanted something simple. We just wanted a drink of water, and we didn't have the ability to pantomime something, the faucet to get water. And every time we would run and fuss about it, somebody would give us some milk. No, that's not, I just want a glass of water. Then they give us some juice. No, that's not it. Then they stick food in their mouth. And I'm like, that's not what I want. Then they try to console us that that's not what I want. Well, the parent is thinking, oh, what a grumpy little child, not satisfied with anything, and the child just wants a drink of water, but it doesn't have a way to communicate this to them. So with sign language, they can use, like the signs here, just water, and they very quickly pick that up. I did an interview with Gigi Dodd, who worked with, no, you can still see it, worked with deaf children for a little over 10 years on the Big Island here. She started initially working with deaf children from the age of about 3 years old through 5 years old before school. They were then able to integrate them into school, and then she and the other people that worked with them would then become an interpreter for them. Well, this worked so well on the Big Island here that they started implementing where they were teaching deaf children at about 6 months old basic signs, and then they also started teaching non-deaf children, hearing children. And she said that what she and her co-workers and people noticed was the children that were taught some basic signs like more, love, want, were happier, less fussy, cried less, just because they weren't frustrated. And another benefit is the parents were much more relaxed because they weren't trying to always figure out there's an unhappiness, there's something here. And just because they learned a sign, I want more, doesn't mean you automatically have to give them more, whatever. You can say, no, all, no, finished. And they grasp that. This is a picture of more to let the no. They picked this up amazingly fast. In Arizona, when I lived in Arizona, just in Arizona alone, there were over 500,000 people documented of either deaf or hard of hearing, and they said there was a lot more than that that were not documented. So they have, because of this, they have a lot of programs to help to reach out to the deaf to help them. As a matter of fact, I was a volunteer to help the deaf community. It was amazing to be able to help out, but they've also found, because of working with young and infants, how much better it is to be able to teach even hearing the non-deaf babies to communicate. Used to be thought that the brain on the babies was so primitive that they couldn't really learn anything, but now with new knowledge and everything, they're realizing how much ability that the babies have to communicate to the cognitive abilities is quite amazing. Gigi commented on how it was very helpful for parents. So one of the things we want to do today is possibly raise awareness. So present some of this information to you as we find somebody that has a infant or is going to have a baby, to let them know that this is something that's very interesting and beneficial, and maybe they would like to do a little bit of research and learn about it and possibly integrate that into what they're doing with their children. The first time I had heard about teaching an infant sign language was about 10 years ago. There was a couple there that had taught their baby some signs, and to be honest, at the time I thought how silly I thought it was that they were just showing off, look, my child can do sign language, isn't that amazing? A few years later, as I started studying sign language because I was a volunteer to help the deaf, I started understanding how beneficial, what a nice thing this is to do for the children. It makes them much happier. They pick up even English quicker as they learn it. One thing that sometimes, not too long ago, was a worry that even teaching deaf children sign language would somehow affect their ability to integrate into the English-speaking world, because they would have troubles combining the two. Well, actually, they found the opposite is true for the babies that are learning some basic sign language or signs. They actually learn to speak quicker and better because the brain is learning this communication ability. So it is a benefit not just for as an infant, but it helps them when they do start learning to speak. They have this ability now to grasp the concept of communication. It builds a better bond with the parents or caregiver when the infant can communicate back and forth, and how much fun it is to see a 6-month-old can actually communicate something specific that they want, that I'm told, or I love you, or I want more. It enriches the relationship also. So one of the things we want to do is, if you happen to know somebody that is going to have a child or have an infant, to mention to them. There's a lot of information. If you look up on the website, ASL, which is American Sign Language, there's a plethora of information. There's information here on the Big Island for it, but if you look up for infants, there's quite a lot of information. It's not something we need to convince somebody, but just simply raise awareness of, let somebody know that this is an option, this is something that is available, and that there is some real world benefits to everybody that's actually doing it. And so just wanted to thank you all for stopping by and let me talk to you a little bit about this, and hopefully we can raise awareness of this a little bit, and maybe enlighten some people and give some people some ideas that there is a very interesting option out there for them to interface with their infants. Well, thank you very much, and have an afternoon.